Hey there folks, welcome to this video, and here I'm going to be talking about a couple of things in the world of sim racing. And first off is the Race for the World, a charity event, kind of pioneered I guess by F1 drivers like Charles Leclerc, but also involving not only other F1 drivers like Alex Albon, Lando Norris, Nicholas Latifi and George Russell, but also including junior drivers like Arthur Leclerc. You also have Luca Albon. You have Delatraz. You also had people from different kind of walks of life. So as well as having Jimmy Broadbent, you also ended up having Thibaut Courtois. And yeah, that wrapped up today. Charles Leclerc took the title with 90 points, with Luca Albon second on 71 and Arthur Leclerc third on 59. And one of the things I want to talk about is the kind of competition itself. Like, it's amazing that it raised over $70,000. That is wonderful. At the same time, the final event was without Jimmy Broadbent, and that was because of what happened on the previous stream earlier in the week, in which Jimmy just turned around and said, "Well, I don't know if I'm going to be invited back to the next one," because he. And I watched the first two from his perspective, and I understand where he was coming from with this. It was a nice kind of fun gathering, the Race for the World, but at the same time, it was very much a social group coming together to do this. Like, all the F1 drivers were ones that were mates. At the same time, you had like their siblings or their friends coming in and taking part as well, which is cool. But at the same time, it needs to be kind of shown as that. Jimmy Broadbent was brought into it, a bit like he argues with things like the virtual GP, because he's the recognised sim racer. And I was actually watching the stream that he talked about this on, as well as his own proper video talking about it, which I'll put in the description below, where he says the problem is he doesn't want to be seen as the go-to sim racer. And he name drops but a couple of people who I think could have also been invited, aarava or Tiametmarduk, and they are, you know, much more about the F1 game and F1. So honestly, I'm surprised. I got into Jimmy Broadbent after watching people like aarava, and I felt like aarava and Tiametmarduk were more the kind of F1 YouTubers. So I actually do agree with Jimmy here, but I think the main thing is it's also a different demographic. Like, the main thing that Jimmy was kind of complaining about was how, for example, with the Baku event, you found that they were constantly going, "Oh, we need to restart the session. Oh, we need to do one-shot qualifying. No, we need to do this kind of qualifying." And he says that this is what they're going to do because they're F1 drivers. They're going to constantly try and do this. I think that's something that needs to be addressed, because the streams they were doing took a bit of a hit when that was happening. A bit like the Wreckfest stream that Simracing YouTubers were doing tonight, which was Jimmy Broadbent, as well as people from DHR, but also Aidan Millward, aarava, Tiametmarduk, Super GPT. Basically, a lot of the people that I usually watch were doing that. And because there was a kind of overlap between that and the final race of the Race for the World, I ended up missing a bit of each. But yeah, I kind of understand where it got to with that, and I have to say I understand where Jimmy's coming from, but at the same time, as much as I am the same age as these drivers who were organising this, I am not their demographic. Their demographic is much younger, which I guess I would also say is a bit of the difference between where I would perceive Jimmy Broadbent's viewership and aarava's viewership. I mean, I loved my driver, but I wasn't the target audience, or at least I didn't feel like I was the target audience for it in the way that it was delivered. But alas, it was a nice idea. I think one of the things is, as much as it's cool to have all of the professional racers in events with like sim racers in there, I think it's also a good idea to have formats where it's like one or two professional racing drivers, one or two F1 drivers, then the rest are like sim racers, content creators. So I agree with Jimmy there. At the same time, I love the Wreckfest thing. Like, this is something that does actually occasionally happen, just the sim racing community coming together and the big names coming together to do things like a Wreckfest, which was pretty cool. I was watching Aidan Millward's perspective as well as Jimmy Broadbent's perspective, and yeah, it was a lot of nice light relief. And Jimmy Broadbent's going to be doing something, I believe, Sunday, touring cars event, but he's also doing the virtual GP. It's something I'm really looking forward to. We're lucky to be spoiled for sim racing stuff, and it means that I get to talk about motorsport stuff, kind of. So today is this. Tomorrow I'm probably going to be talking about the races event, which got people like Petter Solberg in it. And then Sunday I'm going to be talking about the virtual GP. I hope you stick around for those. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for the amazing support in the last video, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye bye for now.